Hello, listeners. Welcome back to another session. And happy Thanksgiving as we gather around with friends and family to gorge ourselves on delicious food and to be thankful for everyone in our lives who make the day better. I want to share this episode with the listeners. These are good friends of mine, fellow podcasters, and I was so excited to get all three of them on to talk about their show, Cinema d'Amore. We welcome back Justin Morgan and Lexi Coville, as well as Chuck, as I really just have a fun chat with some friends. So thanks for tuning in and happy holidays. Welcome to IPA Sessions. Welcome to IPA Sessions, a podcast for independent artists. This is a place where I like to try and provide inspirations for practical application and entertainment. Today I have some guests who have been here before. I have the folks from Cinema d'Amore Podcast. We've all heard from Lexi and from Justin, but today we have the third member, Chuck, on to join us. Now, if you listen to the previous episodes, Lexi was my very first episode. She talked about what it was like to be a host, what she likes about hosting a podcast. And then with Justin, he took us through, being a host of a podcast, co-hosting with Lexi and with Chuck, and the technical how-to of making that podcast. So if you want to know how to really make a podcast, go back and listen to that episode with Justin. If you want to know how to talk on one, go back and listen to that episode with Lexi. But today, we have Justin, Lexi, and Chuck. Today, they're here to talk about collaboration, what it's like working as a team with the three of them, what each of their parts are, what they contribute, and a little history between how they know each other. So I just want to welcome to the show, Cinema d'Amore. Hi, Lexi. Hi, Justin. Hi, Chuck. Say hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
Sorry, I didn't hear Chuck. My bad.
No one ever hears me. I'm the quiet one.
No one ever hears Chuck.
Well, welcome back, everyone. I'm glad that you guys took the time to come back on the show and just have a little fun today. I've always wanted to hear from all three of you as a group dynamic because I enjoy listening to your podcast. I know others listen to it, and it's just a really fun kind of setup that you have. I mean, you discuss films, you talk about the stuff that you watch, but you each have your own difference of opinions while stating your facts. And I like to just kind of go over what you guys do. So just tell us a little bit about yourselves. What do you do? And you can go in any order, whoever wants to answer. But I want to hear from all of you.
Technically, Justin should go first because this is his show.
That's true. Justin is the main host, the creator of Cinema d'Amore.
Yeah, lead us.
I'll lead us in prayer. What do I do? That is a great question. I run a podcast with two of my best friends. That was one of them. Choking.
I do that.
We run a movie podcast. That's how we work together. We switch hosting duties. I tend to mix sometimes. Lexi mixes the episodes, and we just provide our knowledge.
Fair enough. And I know with your show, you guys do themes at times. Recently, and I'm sorry if I'm a little behind by a couple episodes, but I believe recently you've been doing documentaries. At least that's what I got when I listened to We Are X. And then it looks like the next couple of episodes that were out after that were also documentaries. So is that your current theme right now as of this recording?
We just finished up erotic thrillers.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
July 28th, the last one will be up. So there will be 3 episodes of that. And in August, we're going to do real-time movies.
So how do you go about selecting these?
We give everybody a chance. We usually rotate themes between the 3 of us and then attempt to do a free-for-all month where there's just no theme. That's just what we call no theme.
Like a random goodie bag or mixed bag of goodies?
Yeah, just something that you wanted to get out of your system that just didn't fit into anybody else's theme. Just it keeps us on our toes. We have the rest of the year planned out, which is fine, but we try to usually wait till we get closer to the time in case we get bored and we don't want to do that idea anymore.
So Justin, as team leader, so to speak, do you actually come up with these ideas and these themes and then kind of assign everyone a movie to watch, or do you let them pick themes and also let them pick their movies that fall within the line of those themes?
The host, which we rotate, they pick the theme, and then they kind of set up guidelines for the movies that can be picked. But we all get to choose our own movies within that theme. So every month you basically have a shot. I mean, you have some restrictions. If it ends up being a band documentary like it was before, then obviously that's what the scope was, narrowed down to that month. But we still have a wide variety of things to choose from.
Okay, excellent. And I like that. So everyone actually gets a chance to lead for that theme or for that particular episode, right? Is what you're saying?
Correct.
How do you take it from there?
I mean, generally what we do when we pick the themes, there's always going to be 3,
Okay.
each of us get a pick. And the way that we've been doing them is chronological order. I mean, we've been doing that for maybe the last 2 years or so. When I started the podcast a couple years ago with Chuck and 2 others, we would just keep going. Like, I don't even remember the order, but it was like James, Chuck, me, Chris, and we just always just kept rotating through the host.
So from what I'm hearing, and also from what I've listened to with your show, it sounds like whoever picks the month's theme gets to host for the entire month. But I've also heard when you guys are covering your episodes that whoever picked that movie will step up to host or lead the session, so to speak, during that movie. How does that work? And how do you guys assign that?
Whoever's movie it is hosts the episode. That's all it is. It's not really like whoever's month it is leads. It's just whoever's movie it is hosting that episode that month.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's just based off the film. So when I hear Lexi talking and hosting, this was obviously her pick. When I hear Chuck talking and hosting, this was his pick, so on. Okay.
If you look in the episode description and you see hosted by, that's their pick.
So even if it's their month, if it was my movie first, I'll lead the month regardless. So like if my movie is the first one, it's Chuck's month, my movies will start. Like I think my movies started Chuck's month last time with like Color Me Blood Red and 2000 Maniacs.
Yeah. Hey, that was a great month. I was on those episodes. I actually came on to guest with you guys. That was really fun. I like that. But I think when I came on, it was a little different for each episode was done differently because you guys did like a double feature. Like you both, or all 3 of you picked a double feature. So we were covering 2 movies in every little recording. Right. That was pretty fun. I like that.
But I don't think Chuck came in for his movies on that month until like 3rd, 2nd, something like that. Like I don't think he came in
last.
Last. Yeah. Justin's was in the middle on that one.
So he didn't even talk about his own month until the end, basically.
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, we kind of talk about it in the first episode. We'll be like, do you want to describe your month? Mine was kind of lame this one, because Lexi's like, do you want to talk about your theme? And I'm like, it's erotic thrillers. I mean,
like it describes itself.
Yeah, it really does.
It's right there, the definition. Yeah. So what's the history between all of you guys? How did y'all meet up? How did this come to be?
The quick version was 2009 for everybody, I think, roughly. I was in film school and I was doing a senior thesis, which involved making fake trailers, and I worked with 2 people at Hollywood Video. One was Chuck, and he became my friend from working through Hollywood Video, and he became one of my actors in the Western trailer where he got to look like he
Chuck's the dude from the Western trailer. I had no idea. I have that trailer at home. That's so funny.
He gets out of the bed with the chick and then gets shot.
That's so funny.
He had SpongeBob underwear.
My career still has not taken off from that performance, but I'm trying.
So we were both involved in that. I had no idea.
Now they both are on different trailers, but
I didn't.
My other friend Ryan, he was at Tom Savini's school. And I was like, if you're interested and want to do some special effects makeup, I would love to have you. And he brought Lexi and I believe Kate, and we brought them for the action. Actually, they worked on the slasher too.
We did the slasher thing, yeah.
But we drug you also out in the middle of nowhere to do the action thing where we
also did the devil thing. We airbrushed some sort of
we did a music video too.
Yeah.
We've mentioned in the past that Lexi and I know each other through the Douglas Education Center, which is a Tom Savini special effects program that was done at that school. That's the same school that Chuck and Justin were at. Chuck, you were at that school too, right?
I did not. I'm the only person here that does not have film related educational.
He's like,
You're just an actor that walked up on the set and kicked
an
ass.
actor.
I'm a stunt man. I had to do my own stunts there. I had to fall on the ground like 20 times.
I love it.
You know what?
And
Falling
then just
is
lay
a
on the
stunt.
floor.
Chuck has the best education. He's that guy from the video store.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, and I was going to say, Justin actually was a part of the film school because it was Tom Savini's effects program, and then there was a film school that was a separate program.
That was a
That's
different
how
school.
everyone collaborated together from that school. Because obviously, if you're in a film school and you're making
No.
something,
He went to a real school.
Not really.
It was in the big city.
I went to Point Park, downtown Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, why isn't we all had short films to do for school, and nobody was like using anybody from Tom Savini's special effects school. It didn't make any sense. There's all these people there. I don't understand why they didn't collaborate with each other to work on some projects just naturally.
I'm shocked by that too, because I remember when it was happening, I was like, oh cool, they must do this all the time. And I remember talking to Lexi shortly after. She was like, no, I think we were the only ones that did that. And then I think slowly over time, as the school grew and the classes got bigger and there was more people involved, both with the film school and with the effects program, it seems like they started collaborating more, because I know that there's also a beauty school up there, and a lot of those folks would come in and help with hair and makeup. So it's
I
always a
actually worked
collaboration.
with one of your teachers quite a bit.
Oh cool. Which one are you allowed to say?
I don't know. He has a history with the Power Rangers.
I love that
Chris
guy.
Patrick.
You just
Love that
name him.
guy.
You just throw out his name.
No, I love Chris Patrick. He's my favorite. I
Everyone
adore
loves
him.
Chris.
Chuck knows him too because he came in Hollywood all the time.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
I
great.
know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Patrick's my favorite. I
He got
adore
mad
him.
at me really bad one day because he was teaching some cult cinema program, and
That's probably true.
I just asked him why, and he got mad. I was just like, no, what's the theme? Like, what's the common theme? Because it was like
It was like Boondock Saints.
Donnie Darko. It
Donnie
was all the
Darko.
things that I'm sure every
Fight
single
Club.
person that's going to Savini school has seen.
is already way into or something.
See, they hated me at Savini School because I asked questions.
Yeah.
They hated that. You don't ask questions there. You just I love this movie. I love this movie. Why? Oh, what do you mean why? It's got gore and Tom Savini worked on it. I'm like, I don't fucking care. I'm like, it's
Point
not
Park
good.
never wanted to show us anything that we were familiar with, which, thank God, because who wants to go down to school and watch a 3-hour movie that you've seen a million times already?
I mean, that's why you're in film school, because of that, right?
Right.
All right. So I think I appreciate the little bit of history there. It's fun. We're all at the end of our week. It's tiring. I know you guys have been recording nonstop, so I appreciate you squeezing in some time here. But I want to talk to Chuck real quick. Chuck, you're an actor. How come I never knew this?
Like I said, just hasn't taken off yet. I didn't even get an IMDb page out of this.
That's ridiculous. Where's the IMDb page? Also, links in the show notes for this trailer. I want to show everyone Chuck's Western.
But yeah, it was a fun day. That was as Justin was saying. We both worked at our local video store where we live, and I think I'd only been working there maybe less than a month, and he just goes, "Hey, I'm filming stuff. You want to just like film stuff?" And I'm just like, "I guess. I don't know what that involves, but okay." And I think the first thing we technically filmed was he did a scene from Catch-22 that I did with his dad and our other friend from the video store, Jeremy. And that was an interesting day too. Had some good times with that.
That's excellent. So Chuck, I know that you've actually been with Justin for a lot longer. As Lexi stated in the very first episode, she at the time was just starting out with you guys. So she's been with you for a little over a year, but you and Justin have been doing this podcast together for, at least for you, I think at least was 3-4 years, maybe longer.
What are we on this year? Is this the 4th year?
We're on like 5 or something.
I lose
6.
track of it. I used to count it by how many Halloweens we've covered since that's our
We covered all.
it's
of
our
them.
anniversary special, but now we've run out of Halloween, so let's talk about something else this year.
I'm so glad that I got on this show after you finished covering all about Halloween.
Hate to tell you, but it's never going to end.
Yeah,
But I'm
we're
sad
gonna
that I
get
missed
some
out
more.
on 3, because 3 is great.
We'll just do a re-recording of just the Rob Zombie ones.
That's
Oh,
right.
God.
There you go. The best
Actually,
ones.
just
Hey,
Halloween 2, just Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. It's the only one we're ever
Technically,
going to talk
we
about again.
did cover Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween, because we did that on, and Justin was on that. So that's how you earned a
He
pin.
can't get enough of the Halloween.
That was on the podcast that Lexi and I used to do when we covered those movies.
I think Rob Zombie's 2 were the anniversary episode the year that we did all the Halloween sequels.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we did all the David Gordon Green ones, and we're done.
Can I just ask, why Halloween? What was it about that made you guys, like, why was that your
I think just because we were
chosen-
starting when we started it was around Halloween, so it was like, well, why don't we just start with Halloween?
That's
I think there was literally no thought whatsoever going into it other than, hey, we're starting this kind of around Halloween, and we all like Halloween. It's a good movie, right? And then it was like a running bit of every year. Hey, it's 1 year anniversary. Want to talk about more Halloween movies?
Oh, it was actually funny though. In 2017, when we did Halloween, there was no announcement for more Halloweens, or there was only one Halloween coming out. And then I think shortly after that, they're like, it's going to be a Halloween trilogy. I'm like, shit, we're going to have Halloween to talk about
we're going to keep going, yeah.
And so here you are 10 Halloweens later, still doing the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Surprisingly, we had more to talk about.
So what made you guys bring Lexi on? Why did you take that crazy jump?
We are forced to.
That makes sense, yeah.
She just showed up one day and was like, I'm not leaving.
That's pretty much what happened. Plus, we weren't gonna have another white guy.
We were at our quota.
Just let Lexi bully her way onto the show.
She's a diversity hire.
I had to transition first, though.
Lexi, what's it been like for you in the last year? Since the last time I talked to you, you were just starting out working with these guys, but what's it been like for this last year, finally getting into the groove of everything, getting familiar with how they work? What's that all been like for you?
I think things were really great when we were doing the directors. I think we were like all on the same page. I think we're all on the same page in general. I think everything's fine. But I think sometimes some of the themes I come up with, they're like, oh God, please.
Yeah, I hear you're to blame for all the YouTube movies.
I know that when I approach film, I tend to come from a very different side of film than them. They're very conventional and I'm very unconventional. So sometimes I work and sometimes some of the stuff I come up with, they're like, oh my fuck. So I'm a little boundary pushing with them, I think, than they're more used to with most people. I don't think it's a bad thing. I like doing it to them. I'm not mad at it. But I do think there are things I come up with sometimes, and I know when I'm coming up with that they're going to be like, oh, for fuck's sakes. Because I just I know some stuff's going to be a little bit more frustrating, and some stuff I'm going to be like, just shut up and do it. I think you're going to enjoy it if you get into it. I got them looking at Canadian National Film Board movies, and I know you're going to enjoy it. But I knew when I was coming up with the idea, I'm like, it's going to be a hard press because that's a really hard thing to try to present to people. But I think once you get into it, you'll see where I'm coming from. But I'm a strange person anyway with film. I didn't come from this country. I came from Canada. I came from a different place. I was raised differently. I have a different culture in how I view things. So I don't know. I have a different approach to stuff than a traditional American with things. So sometimes I do come at stuff a little differently.
I mean, I'll personally say as a listener to the show, it adds a really good dynamic. I know when you guys all covered the Directors Month, first of all, you all picked directors that I enjoyed or that I'm familiar with them. I just never really cared for them. But listening to each of those episodes with the directors, I had a really good time because there were things about certain directors that I didn't even know that I like. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I wasn't aware of that. And then, of course, when you did the month for covering YouTube movies, A, I was not even aware that was a real thing. And B, I was fascinated by that month. I actually, as a listener, I love listening to it. Well, I love listening to it because I had no clue about any of this. And at the same time, I could just see and hear the misery with everyone that had to sit through these films, and they sounded awful. They sounded so awful. But at the same time, it was cool because now it's like, well, I got my fix. I know what these movies are about, and I have to not waste my time. So thank you for your sacrifice.
I think the worst part was that Chuck had to watch Shane Dawson's movie and then didn't get to talk about Shane Dawson's movie.
My computer crashed, and I just, after, I was in it for 10 minutes, and then was just I don't think I can get back on tonight. And it was just I watched that entire movie for nothing. I didn't even get to talk about how much I didn't like it.
And I know Chuck had things to say. I was
that movie changed Chuck.
Chuck, what do you have to say right now? Now's your time. Let's get it in there. Put it out there.
What I have to say is that Shane Dawson should never be allowed in front or behind a camera ever again. That man is a menace, and I'm just glad I'm done with it.
Well, you heard it here, folks. You heard it here first.
Breaking news.
Wrong show. That's another friend. Right. And that's what's really great too. Is this is kind of just a conversation between us right now because we've had you all on here before. We know how it works as a host. We know how the technical aspects of this podcast. And again, for those of you who want to know how to host and who want to know how to actually make a podcast, go back and listen to the first 2 episodes of IPA. But right now, I'm just having a conversation with friends. These are folks that through Lexi, I've been able to meet Justin, and I've been able to work with Chuck. And I know that you guys bring guests on at times, like myself, and I have a blast hanging out with y'all because I'm a big film nerd too. I love watching movies, and I'd say my taste is similar to Lexi, except I openly watch and admit that I watch just trash films. I love garbage. I could wallow in it all day. It's my favorite stuff. And every now and then, thanks to Lexi, she'll pick something that's like, well, we're bringing Jacob in because I don't want to fucking waste my time with this. And I'm so grateful for that. But I also got to come on and talk about Planet of the Apes with Justin, and that was fantastic. I loved that. It was so cool.
Yeah, you're a treat. You're not there to be tortured.
Yeah. Not intentionally.
I think at this point we bring you on when I know it's stuff that you want to talk about, like the Grindhouse stuff. I was like, oh, he'll want to be here for this.
Or when Lexi wants a break from the Scream franchise, we'll just have Jacob on for all the episodes.
You're not going to give me
Hell
that.
yeah.
There ain't no way.
I'll do it. I'll step up.
That would be wrong of me to step away from that.
It would be because I know that you're actually not a big fan of the Scream franchise, whereas myself and Justin, I'm pretty sure Chuck here, we all love Scream. So if you were to step away, it would just be us just talking about how great the Scream movies are. We need that extra dynamic to be there and be like, this is garbage.
You know who else is a big fan of the Scream franchise? Shane Dawson.
And that's just kind of a taste of how it goes on Cinema d'Amore. I wanted to ask you, and you I believe you actually talked about this in the last episode, but Justin, why do you call the show Cinema d'Amore?
So originally we were on a podcast called For the Love of Cinema, which still exists, but we felt like, I don't know, the brand was tarnished per se. And we thought it was better to just leave that podcast and start our own podcast. And it was so hard to come up with a name. And our buddy James is actually the one I think that came up with Cinema d'Amore. It's like Italian for I love cinema or something. So
isn't it French?
I don't know.
It sounds about right. Close to it.
Justin speaks Japanese. I speak Spanish. These aren't our languages.
That's true.
It's true. Yeah.
I'm Canadian, so I speak French. I don't.
What was really funny though was when we first started, and you can see where all your downloads are coming from. Almost none of them were coming from America. They were like coming from all these different other countries. And I'm sure they heard our accents, our awful Pittsburgh hillbilly backwoods accents, and thought, what the fuck? Who are these people?
These guys don't sound Italian.
Yeah, I was shocked to find fellow, hillbilly rednecks up in the north, because I myself am from the south. So I'm very comfortable when I talk to you guys. Say a few words differently, but we talk the same.
Yeah, we got one of the ugliest. They call it accent, but we're just saying things wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least you don't have that Pennsylvania Dutch going. That's really bad.
Yeah, we don't really have it, but you hear it on the radio a lot. I don't come across those people. I feel like they don't exist. And then I'll listen to the radio and I'm like, there it is.
Yep, they're there.
So Chuck, why did you decide to just join Justin a few years back and do this podcast? You said it yourself. We joke that you're an actor, even though in my humble opinion, you are an actor. You've been in a Western trailer. So what got you into it? Is it just your love of movies? Did you decide like, okay, I can give this a shot. I'll hop on and, show the world my soothing, soulful voice and go at it?
Yeah, I think it was just I didn't have anything else to do. And half the time, me and Justin will end up watching similar movies anyway, or we are at the movie theater together for whatever the most recent Marvel movie or something. And just was kind of one of those, hey, if we're watching the same movies, might as well talk about them later or something like that, and see how the conversation goes, if it's worth listening to.
Well, let's bring it back to the very first one that we kind of did together, which was nice.
By all means.
So I'm working on this show, and the other guy that I'm working with, I'm like trying not to throw anyone under the bus, not a great person, and somebody that just didn't really do the work, like didn't even watch the movie sometimes, just made shit up.
Just reading off that Wikipedia page.
Always got that, because Chuck actually started as a quality
The worst kind of
assurance.
armchair critic is a fake armchair critic.
Yeah, he was quoting, everything was just other critic stuff. There was no thought for himself.
Yeah, that was always
And
my first job, was just, I'd listen to every episode. Justin would be like, hey, I'm posting the episode, listen to it and give me your feedback. And I would just sit there and be texting him the entire time and be like, what the hell is he talking about? And I'm like, I'm reading the Wikipedia page for this movie, and it's like I'm reading his thoughts right here on the page.
And then one day we did an episode where Chuck was over, and I said, "Fuck it, let's just talk about There'll Be Blood." And we did like that was like one of my favorite episodes that we did. And then our buddy James, he was interested in doing like a horror segment, so we had like episodes that we called For the Love of Horror, and we would do different horror franchises. And my thoughts were, it's just so much. Chuck and James are just so much better that's actually where I think the podcast should be.
Fair enough. That's a good start. Why not? So just do it. Now, have you had any issues lately with, Lexi over here being an armchair critic and looking up Wikipedia, or do you think she really forms her own opinions?
Well, I think those opinions can only come from one mind.
I like it. Now, would you say that because you said you watch a lot of similar movies to Justin, we know that both of you have completely different taste in film than Lexi, but is your taste in movies a little different than Justin's too, or would you say you really are kind of on the same page with a lot of stuff?
Hold on now.
That wasn't a question for you.
Me and Chuck have very similar tastes, though. No.
Yeah, I feel like I'm the middle person. I watch some garbage.
He's
too,
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Yeah.
There's
I'm the
been many things that me and Chuck Chuck's like, I was gonna pick that, but then Lexi picked it, and I'm like, see, we're on the same page. And like,
she picked
there
the
are many times
Lewis for me.
Yeah, like I was like, there are like so many times like I've picked stuff, and Chuck's like, oh yeah, I would have picked that. Like there's a lot of things like me and him are on like the same page. I find that me and Chuck are very like Chuck's recommendations. I'll take Chuck's recommendations every time because I'm like, if he recommends it, I'm like, I'll probably like it. So
Okay.
I very much listen to him, like because I feel like we're very much on the same.
And then
page.
Lexi doesn't take my recommendations at all.
No.
Although Chuck would also recommend Paddington 2.
Paddington 2 is amazing.
I listen to Justin, but Justin also kind of likes everything, so it's a little hard for me because like he likes everything. When he doesn't like something, though, that's when I question. I'm like, oh, you didn't like something. Now I'm a little interested.
Then Lexi's like, what was your problem with YouTube Month? And I'm like, I hated it. It's awful.
Oh, I could
You're
tell.
supposed to like everything.
It's like you didn't like Black Phone, and I'm like, oh, he didn't like Black Phone. Now I'm interested. You know what I mean? Like that's when I got intrigued because it was like I actually did like that movie, so it was like, you know,
I didn't hate it. It was just kind of
not that I'm trying to have that discussion here, but like those rare occasions do come up where like when you don't like something, that does intrigue me more.
Justin has had some rare moments where he's thrown a movie that I absolutely did not expect him to like, and I'm like, oh, maybe I do have to watch that. Which the one was the Warcraft movie. Justin's like, the World of Warcraft movie is not bad, and I was like, I think I'm gonna go watch the World of Warcraft movie. And I was like, you know what? I do like.
I also like that movie. I thought that movie was pretty good.
I was like, that was pretty good. I was like, that wasn't as bad as people made it seem like it was gonna be.
It's highly entertaining. You just get past the terrible CGI, but it's highly entertaining.
I saw that in the theater and came out of it going, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
I think nowadays when you watch something like that, to walk away and be like, it wasn't as bad. That's good. You went in with low expectations, so you weren't disappointed. That's the best way to watch a movie. I tell people that all the time when they come out and they're like, oh, this and that, and they bitch and moan. I'm like, the key to watching a movie, especially if it's something that you want to like, go in with zero expectation. In fact, go in expecting to be disappointed, and then you'll start finding things that you're like, all right, cool, not bad.
The way to win me over is I can't know anything about the movie. Like the movie has to be totally different than what I'm expecting, period. Those are the movies I love.
The trailers that are very misleading, and you're like, that's not at all what I thought I was going to be watching. Instead of the trailers that show you every scene, and it's like, why did I even watch this? Because I can just watch the movie.
The last movie that I was like, oh my God, I love this movie was probably Hereditary. And that trailer looked like a haunted dollhouse movie or something.
Right?
And then when I saw the movie, I was like, this is awesome. And totally the trailer was so misleading as to what this movie was about.
It was smart.
I just saw Barbie and they showed us, I don't know if I'm going to go watch this, but they showed the trailer for that new Trolls movie that's coming out. And that trailer, I'm like, I don't need to watch this movie. I'm like, I just saw the whole fucking movie just now, and this whole
they play
entire
like all
trailer.
the songs that you're going to hear.
Animated
all the songs, yeah, like all the songs, the whole plot point.
Trolls.
I'm like, all the major plot points were laid out in the whole trailer, all the surprise reveals, every single thing. I was like, that movie's all there. I'm like, I saw the whole thing. I'm like,
There was a trailer recently for that Blue Beetle, and someone's like, thanks, I saw the whole trailer, now what? And they're like, now you get I saw the whole movie in the trailer, now what? They're like, now you get to see the whole movie in theaters again.
Yeah, you get the whole 2.5 hours of it, I'm sure.
It's extended.
Yeah, the extended
that
trailer.
movie looks awesome, though.
Just don't show shit from like the last third of the movie, because you don't know how many movies have been ruined. Like The Dark Knight's a prime example of, I don't think that Lieutenant Gordon's dead because they showed him in the trailer smashing the bat signal, which is literally like one of the final shots of the movie.
Film.
Yeah. Well, there's also there was a movie that came out a while back. It was the remake of Dot Record when they did Quarantine. And I remember the trailer looked great. I loved the trailer, and I went to watch the movie, and the whole time watching the movie, I'm like, where's that scene? And then the very end of the movie was the scene from the trailer. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You just showed me the ending. You showed me the money shot. Like, why would you do that?
Did you say Dot Record?
Yeah, that's what I call it, Dot Record. It's just record.
It take me a second to figure
it's
that
actually,
out.
It's actually Dot REC. It's an amazing movie. But the remake, Quarantine, was was just poorly fucking promoted over here and poorly used.
It's
over
just
here.
record.
It's Dot REC.
I just say rec.
Yeah, it's Dot Rec. It's
Rec
Rec.
is fine too.
It's Rec.
At first, I thought you were talking about, what was that, Death.com or whatever that shitty movie was.
Oh my God, that was terrible.
There's so many of them. I don't know. Except Unfriended. Unfriended was fun.
Unfriended is great.
Yeah,
So is the
Unfriended-
sequel.
Yeah. Oh, there's a sequel. See, we have to get it.
That's good. I think they're making a third one too.
I hated Unfriended. That was
I
I
thought it was
couldn't
a really
handle sitting
creative
in a theater
concept.
staring at a laptop for 2 hours. It was a good concept. I just don't think they did it very well. It was.
Don't watch it in a theater.
I
I
think
watched it at home on a
yeah.
computer, so I
I
thought it
feel
really
like
worked well.
I might have liked it better if I watched it on an iPad or something. But we went to the theater the first night it was out, and it was just, I don't know, something about a giant laptop screen, blown up the size of a movie screen, and just see text messages popping up, and I was
Why
just like,
did you see that in the theaters?
Yeah.
because everybody else wanted to go.
Yeah, there was something about watching it on
I was
my
just an
computer.
extra
I was
person that it was like, we're all going to see Unfriended. And I was like, okay, all right, I guess I'm going.
And these are the conversations that you get when you listen to Cinema d'Amore.
Stealing my thunder. I was literally about to say, welcome to a sneak peek of Cinema d'Amore right here on IPA. And getting back on track here with the podcast and everything that you guys do. So you've all been working together for a little over a year now, and still promoting yourself. Justin, you've been doing this for a long time. Has there been any kind of financial gain for you? Has Lexi showing up in any way boost your numbers and helped you out?
No.
Good answer.
He almost
We're
had
not
a
a-
sponsorship deal from Olive Garden one time. That was the closest financial gain he's ever had.
That is true. We had an offer from a local Olive Garden that said if we recorded in the Olive Garden, they would give us free food while we recorded. And I was like, well, that would sound like the worst episode of all time with all these people in the background and we're eating.
Totally would have done that.
Yeah,
Are
that
you
sounds
fucking
fun. Yeah.
kidding?
You just hear us. I feel like we would have both gained 200 pounds because we'd just be sitting there eating breadsticks for every
It's a lot of
episode.
free breadsticks.
That
Yeah,
would have been
just-
hysterical. You
This
could have
has been-
picked you should have picked a terrible choice of movie for it too. Just a weird choice for Eat, Pray, Love or something.
Yeah, they're all food related somehow.
yeah,
You could do Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Yeah.
yeah, that would have been good.
That's how you tie it into the brand deal. Speaking of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, these meatballs are spicy.
Well, and also I could just see y'all inside the Olive Garden just talking shit and using a lot of strong language because that's what
Yeah.
your show is like. And then getting into heated conversations for a moment and
Chuck's like,
Off
more
ranting.
breadsticks, please.
Yeah. Yeah, in the middle of a long discussion of a scene, it's like, yes, I do need more water. Thank you.
hear the clinking of the ice in the cup.
Yeah.
Yep, we've dealt with it all on the podcast. We've had people eat, we've had people drink. We don't want to be inside your mouth. We don't want to hear that.
No.
What's one of the most fun moments as a group within the last year that you can remember during recording? And maybe one of your favorite episodes. If you don't share the same answer, that's okay. But I'd love to hear from each of you.
Oh man, that feed episode got
Feed
fucking
episode was fun.
unhinged.
I would agree. As awful as that movie was, that was a fun episode because But that was a fun
Editing-
one to make fun of and talk about because it was such a weird movie.
Editing that episode, like I thought, like we were recording it, I was like, I don't know what this is gonna be like. And like by the time I was done editing it, I was like, this might be one of our best episodes, despite the fact that we're talking about like one of the worst movies ever, because it's fucking hysterical.
Right.
It's
'Cause
so
Lexi's like
funny.
of mind. Like sometimes I think she gets a tad upset when she feels that not everybody liked that movie. And I think sometimes those are the better conversations. So
I think another good moment was I didn't have to deal with the problem. It was mostly Justin's problem. But one episode I may or may not have not been recording the entire time. And I just had to provide Justin with 5 real quick sound bites of me saying, oh, uh-huh, yep, oh, uh-huh, no. And just kind of was like, if you want to try to make an
Yeah.
episode out of that, because we already took the 2
Hobbs and
hours to
Shaw.
record it.
even
God.
Jacob,
Hobbs
why
and
is this
Shaw
a
is the
15-minute
episode.
episode?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's why that episode is that way it is.
And let me tell you, that was a great conversation too.
It was.
It was
We
a
had-
good episode.
We had a lot to say about that episode, and
What's so sad is that I started listening to the Fast and the Furious movies for, I don't know, years, for sure for the last couple of months in the last year or so. Lexi has been telling me about the Fast movies and how great they are. And she's like, if you like trash and stuff, you need to be watching these. And I'm like, I don't watch a franchise that I'm not interested in unless they take it to outer space. And then Fast did that. And I was like, all right, time to man up. I started watching them. I loved them. I wish I'd gotten into them sooner. They're just so fun and over the top. And you guys, for each episode, you covered every movie in the franchise, including Hobbs and Shaw, and they were all great. And they were like an hour and a half to 2 hours of conversation just about. And then Hobbs and Shaw comes out, and I've been waiting for it because I really enjoyed that movie. And it's like 15 minutes, and I just hear Chuck go, "Yep, uh-huh." I'm like, what happened?
Well, so much got cut because Chuck would ask questions, we'd answer his questions.
yeah.
Chuck talked more than Chuck's ever talked before.
Yeah, that was my I had it recording in the background. I was 99% sure I hit record, and then put the window behind the Discord and was just talking the entire time, not paying attention. And it was just got to the end of the episode and just clicked, and it was like, you have 1 minute of recording. I was like, oh, has that
Wow.
not been?
Hey, Chuck's a liar too, because I
Yeah.
start before. You don't hear it in the episodes, but I ask if everyone's recording, and Chuck said yes.
I go, yep.
Genuinely, my favorite episode ever that I recorded was the episode that I did with Chuck alone on Wes Craven month for
Serpent in the Rainbow.
Serpent in the Rainbow.
Great episode, by the way. I loved that conversation. I actually felt like I got to know you, Chuck.
Me and Chuck, that was like the first time that I was left alone with Chuck, and I was like a bit nervous because I was like, I've never had to work with him alone.
And we don't have Justin's usually our guiding force. Like he is still somewhat the leader. Like he can pull an episode back if me and Lexi are struggling to figure out where to go next. And that was like all right, well, we're gonna have to figure this out without Justin today. It was like Dad's away, and we're gonna have to figure this out.
Like we owned it so well. I was like,
Cat's
me and
away,
Chuck-
the mice will play.
Me and Chuck did perfectly fine on our own, and I was like, you know what? We're totally fine without you, Justin. You don't need to be there. If you're not there, it's totally fine. So that was that moment where I was like, I'm glad I know that I can work comfortably with you, because I was like, we can clearly do this. It's
They were
good.
pretty rude too.
Oh yeah, we
Because
talked mad shit.
on that recording, they're like, I think I fucked that up, and they're like, it's not our problem. We're not editing this.
I really liked that episode. It was great because you guys had a lot of good conversation pieces. And what was funny is you tend to actually agree a lot in the episode, but I disagreed a lot with what you were saying during the conversation. But I really enjoyed listening to it because it was like, all right, get a different understanding, get someone else's, take on it. And that's my thing I like about your show is a lot of times there are movies that y'all cover and a lot of what you say and speak about, it's like, I don't agree with that, but what you back it up with, like the whys and the hows of what your answer is, I really like that because it gives me something to think about, even though I'm like, I still don't care that they just justified this with logic. I'm going to use not logic and be like, I don't care. I still like it. But that's me. That's what makes it fun as a listener. I cannot believe though that you had that's such a nightmare is to have an entire session recorded and not having recorded
That's
it.
after that episode, I make sure to, when I hit record, that I leave the window up, on my screen somewhere so that I can see the timer is constantly moving the whole time.
Well, Chuck, if you like right now, you're welcome to talk about Hobbs and Shaw. If you want to get anything off your chest that you haven't had a chance to say, I am recording, so we're good to go.
We'll make sure we've got this forever. Hobbs and Shaw, it's a fantastic movie. I think it's an underappreciated gem. I think it was like one of the lowest grossing of the Fast movies, but it didn't kill the franchise. It's still going strong. So, and they brought The Rock back in Fast 10. So apparently they're putting their grudges behind. So maybe we'll get Hobbs and Shaw 2.
I would like that. I really would. Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time to have this conversation with me. Thank you for sharing a lot of your fun memories, your nightmares, the things that can happen that can go wrong, but just, chugging along and getting it done anyway. Now, on the last sessions that I had with Justin and Lexi, they've answered these questions. So a lot of this is mainly for you, Chuck, because I kind of just want to know about you. But Justin, Lexi, please feel free to jump in with your own answers as well. But I'm going to ask you, Chuck, what has been the biggest challenge that you've had to overcome while working on Cinema d'Amore? Maybe it's something you're still working on.
Nudity.
Yeah. No, I would say my biggest challenge is always trying to get a word in with Justin. And that's been my struggle for the 10 plus years I've known him is. There's never a time
to deal with me.
Justin is never short for words. Lexi's very close behind it, not being at a loss for words. And, I would say I have a more laid back personality. I can sit there and listen the whole time and I'll try to wait for my moment to get in. I've never been a person that talks over other people, which again, Justin, maybe it's...
You work with Justin and Lexi?
I work with Justin. I know... Justin has said in the past, and I've met all of the members of Justin's family or his immediate family, and if he doesn't talk over them, I don't think he'd ever get a chance to talk either. So that's just his personality. It's what he's grown up dealing with, having to talk over people and be kind of loud to be heard.
That's very true.
Yeah. So Lexi and Justin, you would agree with Chuck's answer on this? At least for him. Has there been any new challenges for you, Lexi, since starting this show, having been on the air with them for the last year?
You mean in my own life, or
just any challenges you've had to face working on Cinema d'Amore in the last year? Something that you had to overcome or work on?
No, not really. I mean, I have had personal issues with Justin, but I don't
still has
want to make a thing of it. But I mean,
you keep it professional. You're still outside the shows where you have issues, but within the show on a professional level.
Oh, yeah.
Have you had any new challenges?
I think the biggest challenge is just that we're in two different time zones, which makes it's so much later for us than it is for her. Sometimes it's still light out where she's at and it's dark, and me and Justin are like, I want to go to sleep. She's like, I got time ahead. We can do this all night long. Yeah. That's not a challenge. It's just a thing. It's a geography.
It's a challenge for you. You're a little bit narcoleptic.
I feel bad for Chuck too.
It's our geographical locations add a challenge.
I try really hard to work with that because I know he's like on a different schedule. I know he gets up really early, and so I'm really like I always say, like I will work with whatever you guys need. It's like I'll do whatever I can. As long as it doesn't like fuck with my job, basically, like I'll do whatever I can.
It's where sometimes I have to come in and I've cut episodes short because I've just been like, hey, I hit stop recording, so that's where the episode's ending right now. So I'm like, because I need to go to bed right now, and I can tell you guys are just going to keep talking for a long time about something, and we had to end it, so I shut my recording off. So keep talking, but you won't have any recording going forward from me.
I love the team dynamic. I love that you guys as a challenge is sometimes just simply working with each other on your own schedules. And like Chuck was saying, trying to get a word in, but his personality is I can just wait. But when they're talking, that conversation will end and they'll move on to the next topic before you get a chance to really say something. But I like how you guys are fun about it. You're like, it is what it is. Like, and it makes it work. I mean, if you listen to a couple of the episodes, there's times where you can hear that in the conversations, and it's really funny to me. Like, I enjoy it. I get a kick out of it. I'm like, oh, here they go. And I'm like, I wonder how much was edited. But I think that's cool. Chuck, I want to ask you now, what's something unexpected that you've had to face? Maybe it's something that you learned right then and there in the moment. I'm guessing not recording is something unexpected.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably the biggest thing. And every once in a while, I'm recording on a cheap laptop, and there have been times where my entire screen freezes, but the recording is still going. They can still hear me. I can still hear them, but just my whole screen will be white, and nothing's happening. So that adds an extra layer because I can't read any sort of facial cues as to somebody's like wanting to say something. So I'm just kind of like blundering into, I don't think people want to talk now. So I'll just start saying things, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Did I talk over you? So I've had that. That's a technological problem of working on just cheap equipment sometimes that sometimes doesn't want to work for me.
Fair enough. Justin, as the team leader, the one that helps organize everything, has there been anything unexpected that you've come across since our last conversation and since Lexi has joined? Has there been any unexpected moments for you? Anything that you've had to learn in the moment?
I mean, all the time. We're constantly learning. I mean, I think the things that surprise you or come out of nowhere have to be the technical things, the technical side of it.
It's always technical, yeah.
I mean, I'm constantly learning. I feel that we all are. We're trying to become better at what we do. We also kind of do that naturally. But me and Chuck, we kind of had like a really good thing going when we were in person because I was totally in control of the sound and I could get it all prepped before everybody came over and I could make a pretty high quality episode. Plus, you're able to feed off of each other easier and cut each other off less. And I have such a hard time online because, like, even Chuck, half the time, he's in pitch black dark. I feel like I'm talking to the villain of Inspector Gadget or some shit. So, like, I can't tell when he's has something that he wants to say. Or sometimes I can't even read them. Like,
couldn't even tell if I'm sleeping. For all he knows, I'm just, passed out.
Yeah. Lexi right now is kind of far away, so I just generally see a face, like glasses and a mouth. So I can't tell if, unless it's a very, she was like a very exaggerated chuckle. Like, okay, I saw that. But sometimes I'm like, I don't know if she's pissed or what the hell's happening, but.
Yeah, remote conversations are always going to be harder to manage than in-person conversations.
Oh, I've dealt with that too. I mean, you guys are like me when you record, you have your it's kind of like a Zoom call type setup, but we're just recording the audio, but we use the video so that we can see each other. Like you were saying earlier, being able to know, all right, I can anticipate what this person's saying. And when they stop and knowing that, okay, I'm not going to be rude, I can jump in here. And it's difficult, especially when your image freezes on the frame or someone's far away, you're not sure if they're still there, but then you see the body movement. You're like, okay, we're good. So yeah, I think podcasting, it's always technical is the number one unexpected issue that comes up that you really figure out right there in the moment every time. Or at the end, once you're done with your recording and realize you didn't record it, that happens too.
Yeah. I think we had one episode where I think Lexi froze and me and Justin just kept talking, and then I think she was like, these guys just aren't even listening to me. They're just talking over every single word I say. She was getting so mad because we just kept talking and would not stop to let her say anything. And but we didn't hear anything. And she was started texting why are you guys not letting me talk? What's going on?
I think I had to reboot everything. And then there was that time that I had to edit. And what was it? I lost, didn't I lose half the audio?
I think you lost something somewhere, so you had to the same thing. You had to kind of piece some things together.
Yeah, it was I lost half the episode. So we had only had half of my audio, so then I had to take the other half of just your guys' conversation and find a way to piece it together in a way that it sounded like you were having a conversation where I wasn't involved.
Just sounded like she left the room halfway through.
So just I tried to try to make that work as well. So we've had that happen once.
Ooh,
or
that's
twice.
tough. Yeah,
I don't remember which one that was. That was so infuriating. That's when Zencaster was starting to give us problems.
We had some issues with that.
Yeah, I can only imagine, especially when that's when you have to be really creative too. Is you're all right, well, I'm not just talking about this. Thankfully, I know a little bit of this. I'm learning some of this. So you learn the program even more, which is helpful, but it's at the time you're I also didn't want to have to do this right now. I understand that frustration. Moving along, Chuck, I want to ask you, man, what's a hard reality that you've had to deal with and accept? Something discouraging that you pushed through, or maybe you even resolved it. But sometimes there's just things in life that there's nothing that can be done about it. It is what it is. You just have to accept it and work around it or work through it.
Yeah, I'd say probably the same as the other answer, that sometimes just time is the killer, and I think it's not even our times for recording. I just get some weeks where I just can't figure out where to fit this movie in to even watch it, even when it's not even that long of a movie, because it's just something else is going on seemingly every day that I'm even think about. Maybe I'll watch that later. Oh wait, no, I got this to do. I'll watch it tomorrow. oh, well, no, I'm doing this after work. And then it gets to the point where I'm like, guys, I don't think I can watch this movie this week. I might have to move the date because I just can't find a time to get this movie in somewhere. It's sometimes, at least with certain movies, I've been able. I think the only movie I didn't rewatch was when we did the Willy Wonka episode. But that's just because I've seen Willy Wonka so many times. I could talk about that movie in my sleep because I've seen it since I was a child. So I was like, that was one of the only times that I was just like, you know what? I still feel pretty confident going into this, having not rewatched this movie this time. But it's definitely hard for the ones that it's a movie I've never seen because I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
Like I have to watch this movie because I've never seen it before. Like I've got to figure out a way to get this movie in somewhere. Just a lot of when you got other things like work and just too much other stuff going on. Just time management sometimes slips away from you.
Yeah, time is a definite reality that we have to accept. There is no working around that. You're just working with it, and it's on its time.
If someone's going to give you a movie that you have to watch, it'll probably be me.
yeah, something that I've never seen before. I can't remember which one it was that I watched, but I'll have like a Peloton type bike, and I was like, I didn't get to work in today, but I gotta watch this movie, and I'm just like, so like usually I'm listening to music, but that was like the one time where I'm sitting there watching the movie while I'm on the bike. I'm just like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I don't like this. Like I'm not enjoying either one of these things. Like I'm not really.
Feed?
Can't focus on the
Were you
movie
working out while you're watching Feed?
Yeah, I don't remember which movie. It's been a while, but I can't remember which one it was. But I just remember sitting there and just being like, I'll just have to do both at the same time. And I was just like, this isn't fun. I'm not enjoying this workout because I'm just watching this movie, and I'm not enjoying the movie because I'm sweating to death while I'm watching it. Like, it just was not a good time.
Fair enough. Lexi, in the past, we had a podcast that we did together. So we know also from your episode that you're very comfortable as a host. You're very comfortable with talking. You're comfortable with the podcast world. I had a great time working with you. I've had a great time when I've been able to come on as a guest onto your new show with Justin and Chuck. But, I want to ask you, in your new experience, having worked with these guys for the last year, has there been something new to you? Has there been a hard reality that you've come across that is like, hey, I have to just accept this and push through?
Well, we have a really good dynamic in regards to, like I was saying, talking to you guys today earlier, and I was saying Justin's a really good host when you think about what we have going on here in regards to Justin is a really good middleman where it's like you have me over here where I don't really care about Hollywood. I watch movies for experiences. So, when you hear me review films, I'm talking about how they made me feel. I'm talking about the colors. I'm talking about technical aspects because that's what I went to school for. I'm talking about all these kind of almost personal things. Film is a very personal experience for me. And so when I talk about it, I have very personal kind of feelings and stuff. And then I don't think Chuck doesn't have personal experiences, but Chuck has a very I want to say more of a normal.
I'm just a regular guy.
Yeah,
yeah.
But
Fair.
he knows actors, he knows dates, he knows that stuff. And I know he looks stuff up online, but he does know stuff too. He knows stuff off the top of his head really well. And it's he's really good at knowing that shit, and he's really good at that side of stuff. And he's a film guy. And so it's he's really, really good at having that side of things. And I think Justin's a really solid middleman where he does have the film school, and he also seems to understand my emotions and feelings when I talk about things, but then he also is totally where Chuck is. And so when Chuck's going on about stuff, he's all yeah, I got you 100%. But then when I start going into my weird places and being weird and doing what I'm doing, Justin's also you know what? I'm also on board with you. And so he's a nice middle ground. But I find that I'm still the new kid. And so there is this feeling of Justin and Chuck are friends. They live in the same state. They're together. They have that ability to go out to dinner and hang out and go to the movies together and see things together and be in the same time zone and have that kind of stuff. And I'm kind of over here in my own world doing my own thing, and sometimes being who I am. And I'm a bit crazy, and sometimes I get isolated and I go like, they don't like me and they're just working with me because they have to, or I pissed them off this month because I made them all upset with YouTube month, and like maybe they don't want to deal with me anymore and my movies are upsetting them, and so I get like in my own headspace and where I don't have the interactions with them and don't have the ability to like be with them, because if I was with them more and able to be around them more, those would go away very quickly because they would be around me more and we could smoke a bowl and hang out and it wouldn't be a thing, right? But like I can go into my own head all day and drive around a car all day and like think what I want, and I can text you what I want, or I can decide to myself what I want, and so that's what I choose to do. And so like that's complicated for me. So there's this feeling of being an outsider, and so I'm also like transgender, and that's fine. Like they're not mad at me for being transgender, but
well, that's good.
I'm facing my own complications and all that kind of stuff. And when I face my own complications, I'm like, I'm transgender and you have to deal with it too. And they're like, well, I don't fucking care. And I'm like, that's fair that you don't care. I'm like, you shouldn't have to care. It's not your problem. But then it's also like, I'm on your show, and I'm like, yeah, but like I'm trying to make you care because I'm on your show, and I don't want to make you have to care about something you don't care about, but I'm also like on your show, so now I'm trying to make you care about it because I'm on your show, and like that's like, just as it is what it is. And you guys aren't dicks about it. That's not me like whining and crying, but like it's that weird position that I now have in life where I'm part of something that I didn't ask to be part of, but now I'm part of it and I have to represent it, because for me to not represent it would be shitty. It's my position in life. We're only 1% of the population. For me to not stand up for my 1% of the population, it would be wrong of me not to do. And so I have to keep going on the show, and I have to keep like being that voice. And so I worry I'm annoying, and I worry that like I'm going to like go too far and like push you guys and like irritate you and like be that kind of whatever. But like also I can't stop being what I am. So I have to keep doing that. And so it's about finding that balance between being myself, being your friend, and not being irritating and not feeling like I'm alienating myself from you guys, while also not letting myself go to those places where I'm like, they don't like me and my movies are pissing them off and that kind of stuff. Because my movies are going to piss you off. Like I'm going to keep finding weirder and more bizarre shit, and either you're going to like it and you're going to be introduced to new things and you're going to think that's really cool, or you're going to be like, god damn, this bitch keeps finding weirder and weirder shit and I just don't know what to fucking do with it, because it's only going to get weirder with me. Like you guys let me on a show where you gave me the freedom to talk about like my kind of stuff, and like I don't watch normal film.
It honestly sounds to me like the hard reality is acceptance. It's not only just you accepting who you are and the new changes in your life, but it's understanding and accepting that others, they too accept that. They accept who you are. They understand the new changes in your life, but they have their own way of accepting it. And that's a hard reality that you can't control that. It is what it is, but you're there, you're educating, you're making a stance, and you're putting who you are out there, letting others know, like, it's okay to be comfortable. It's okay to be curious, have questions, and you address these things. I've heard it on your show, and I know outside the show, just with conversations between us, that you're very much like that, both on the show and off the show. So thank you for bringing that up.
Oh, I address things.
Hell yeah. And you're good at it. I mean, I learned things. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. And even with us, you'll tell me something. It's like, oh, I accept it. I don't understand it yet, but I'm willing to listen and hear that and progress to that point of fully seeing it.
Justin is the one who truly suffers.
Yeah.
He's the one who has to deal with it more than anybody. Chuck just has to deal with the aftermath, because in my mind, Justin is the one who has to understand and then just articulate it back to Chuck. And I don't make Chuck have to deal with it, because I'm like, Justin has to understand it and then relay it to Chuck, which maybe isn't fair. Maybe I should try to articulate to Chuck too, and maybe Chuck would articulate to Justin better. Maybe I should try that in the future. Who knows?
What do you guys think? How do you feel about it, Chuck and Justin?
I'm no middleman.
I'm no middleman. Good answer.
He's never in the middle.
That's not what I said.
All right. I'm going to move along. This question is for all of you guys. I want to know, what is the most valuable takeaway that you've learned from your experience? You know, something that's helped you grow and improve as an artist, particularly since Lexi has joined. So within the last year, what is a really valuable takeaway that you've each had?
I like having diverse opinions and diverse out views on things. I think it gets pretty boring if we all just agreed on the same things, and no one wants to listen to an episode of just everyone going, boy, that was good, right? Yep, I loved it. Yeah, and I love this, and yeah, that was good, and I love this. And if everyone just keeps repeating the same thing, and just not even that's a bad thing that everyone likes the movie, but I think it does help when you get different points of views on things, and sometimes makes you think of something that you didn't consider it from that angle before.
Well, there you go. There's some acceptance right there, Lexi. It sounds like Chuck's valuable takeaway is the diversity that you bring.
Thanks.
Okay, I guess I can go next. I feel doing the podcast has actually helped me in a lot of ways. It starts to build skills. Like, I'm not the best, obviously. I still use filler words, but
Same here.
I work on communication skills, and you have to learn how to drive a conversation. And, sometimes you fail, a lot of times you fail, but you're always learning. Every single episode you are learning. So it's how to host, how to speak, how to organize, and then technical stuff. How do I fix this in post? How do I make this sound better? Why does that sound awful like this? What is this thing? What's going on here? So you're starting to learn like audio technical aspects that I wouldn't normally know. Now I feel like I could jump on and make a pretty decent show.
What does that have to do with me?
With
Nothing.
you? Nothing.
You're not the valuable takeaway in this conversation. It's always about Lexi. So what's your valuable takeaway? What has been a really good, what has been something really good that you've taken away from your experience in the last year working with these guys, Lexi?
Honestly,
Nothing.
no. It's that I was starting to hate film, like, as a whole. And I was really starting to not want to do this anymore, like, as a whole. Like, not just podcasting, but, like, not watch movies, not work on film, not do film anymore. Like, I didn't want anything to do with it because I was, like, so disenfranchised from it all. And, like, doing the podcast with you, I liked working with you. I liked having conversations with you. But watching the movies that we were watching was awful. And the best part about watching the movies that we were watching for our show was the conversations. Like, learning about the history of how the films got made, the stories about the remakes, and like what they went through. That was the best part.
Yeah, I liked all the research we put into it, but I did not enjoy the viewing experience half the time.
So like having to watch 5 versions of A Star Is Born. That was hell.
Oh man,
that was hell. Like having to watch 5 versions of fucking Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That was hell. Like, that's where it stopped being fun, was having to do like so many versions of the same film, even though learning about all those films was great. And so outside of like, I know we did it to ourselves, and I don't want to not go back to that. Like, I still love that idea and I want to go back to it. Like, that's something that I'm going to approach again. But as a whole, I was struggling with film. And the reason I approached that podcast to begin with was because of the oversaturation of remakes that were coming out on the market. And I was like, I think there's a discussion here because it's happening so frequently and so much. And so I was like, this is awful. And I hate this. I hate film. I hate what we're doing. I hate the industry, and I'm angry. I want to talk about it. And then I just got angry and I just didn't want to do this anymore. And then I came on this show, and the first month that we're doing, they're like, we're going to talk about Wes Anderson. And I was like, I like Wes Anderson. And then I watched like 3 Wes Anderson films in a row, and it was like not bad Wes Anderson films. It was like a solid mix of Wes Anderson films. And then it was like, what's next? And then it was like Spike Lee. And I was like, oh, I love Spike Lee. And then it was just like this like refreshing like month after month of just being refreshed again of like quality directors, and this like going back. And Justin picks old movies a lot. he goes like way back. Like he goes back to like a lot of black and white, a lot of old, and the stuff that he picks is a lot of stuff I've never seen before. A lot of like really old noir stuff and heavy long films that I see the run times on and I go, fuck me. And they're always good. And like same with Chuck. Like Chuck has picked films like I said before, like Chuck and me are on the same page so often that I'm at a point now that I am always excited for Chuck's movies. Always excited. Even if I'm like, I'm more excited for Chuck's movies every month than Justin's. Chuck's movies I'm always hyped for because more often than not, I always like Chuck's movies. And that's not a knock on Justin's movies, but like it's just so refreshing to see these old films that Justin picks, but also like Chuck is just so up my alley that he is like showing me this other side of stuff that like I forgot about or just didn't get a chance to see, like Gone Girl. Like he's like, hey, you forgot this one, you know? And it's like, fuck, dude, like that was excellent.
I'm just going to jump in real quick. One of my favorite recommendations from Chuck was and I forget the name, so you'll have to remind me, but it's the weird Anthony Mackie time travel movie.
Oh,
Synchronic.
Loved that.
Yeah.
That was like such a strange film. Like I would have never even picked that up if you hadn't have recommended that. Like
I never knew it existed. And then after that episode, I was like, I got to find this.
So it's like, I almost feel like by being on this show in a lot of ways, I gained that weird film friend that I can be like, oh, you like this one? Try this one. And he can be like, oh, you like this one? Try this one. And then with Justin, I gained that high art film friend that I can talk to. And it's beneficial to me because like they're keeping me interested in film. They're keeping that flame going because without them giving me those, I don't know if I'd have the skill set in me anymore at my age to go back and dig because I don't care anymore. Like I said, that part of me kind of died off to put the effort forward. So this show is giving me what I need to go out and find things, but also it's letting me go, well, fuck, if you guys like this, let me show you this one. And it's letting me go into my old repertoire of shit and go like, you guys would love this. And like, it's letting me like pull out my old stuff but also rewatch a lot of that stuff and have those relationships, like getting to watch Perfect Blue again. It's been years since I went and watched that again. And like, I fucking love that movie. So that's what I'm getting from this is like rebuilding that relationship with film and getting to have like honest to God, intelligent, real conversations about film that are not half-assed because I love our conversations too. Like, and I know that they're always going to be a good conversation because I know if it's just Chuck and me talking, it's going to be a good conversation. If it's just me and Justin talking, it's a good conversation. Like the whale episode where it's just me and Justin, that's a beautiful episode. We did a really good job on
Great
that episode. I think that's one of our best episodes. But I also, like I said, I think the episode where it's just me and Chuck talking about
Serpent in the Rainbow. Great episode.
Great episode. So each one of us on our own can carry an episode, but also like all together, we're a powerhouse. So I think there is something to be said about us as a dynamic, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, good answer. I like it. That's a great takeaway to have is getting to see the value in everyone and for yourself to be able to have that, rejuvenated feeling for film again, that love is coming back. That is like, this is why I like it. Cause you stated earlier, it's a personal experience for you. And the fact that you were starting to lose that feeling and it was miserable is great that you're getting it back and you're enjoying the experience again. Even if it's a movie that you don't care for, it's still awesome that you get to watch and be like, I can still enjoy this, even though I'm not enjoying this. So my next question here, both Lexi and Justin, you guys have answered this. I know what drives you. I know what your motivations are. To the listeners, go back to the first 2 episodes. They'll tell you all about it. But Chuck, I want to know, man, what's your motivation? What's your drive? Why do you do this?
I think it is just to find new things. Because again, even if it's a movie that I don't like or I don't think is good, it's it's a good experience. I think one that I'll say that I really enjoyed getting into was we talked about Harmony Korine films, which I'd never seen any of his films. Like I was only generally aware of him as a director, and like I knew the movies that he made, but I just never got around to him. And that was one that we got into. It was one that I had to pick a movie that I had never even seen before because I'd never watched any of his. So I just picked the first one, the only one I really knew more of, which was Spring Breakers. But yeah, I enjoyed Spring Break, y'all. Like I enjoyed watching all those movies, even Julian Donkey Boy, which I didn't particularly enjoy as much, but there was enough in there that I came away from it being like, well, I might not have liked the movie, but I can tell the guy knows what he's doing. Like he knows how he wants to make a movie. I just particularly didn't care for that one. But then watching Spring Breakers and Beach Bum, I loved both of those films. I thought they were both great. So I think that's what I'm always, kind of similar to what Lexi was saying. Just, I'm more interested in when someone picks something that I hadn't watched, or the most recently, Justin picked his erotic thrillers theme, and I hadn't seen Perfect Blue or The Handmaiden, which were Lexi and Justin's pick, and I thought both of those movies were great, and I enjoyed watching them. So that's what I always look forward to that. I'll get a little boring when we get to something and everyone's picking movies that I've already seen before, unless they're really good movies that I really want to talk about. Kind of like, I already saw all these. I'm not that interested this month, but we get those months where we're all talking about something new and something that I've never heard of. So
I like that. I think you're the first to ever say that a drive for you, a motivation for you, is finding something new. I really dig that, especially with the type of show that you guys do together. I think finding something new would drive me to want to keep doing it as well. Because it's like, ooh, what's on the agenda today? What am I going to come across? And like you said, Perfect Blue caught you off guard. Same happened with me. I finally got around to watching it recently too, and I was like, man, highly underrated animation.
Yeah,
super underrated. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. This is my last question for all of you. So all three of you, please feel free at any time to jump in and give your response. But I just want to know if there's any advice or something you would like to say to anyone looking to do what you do. And I know that Lexi and Justin, you've given advice in the past, but since you've been working together, is there anything new that you can think of that you'd like to share with others that could help them when working on a collaboration or working as a group in a team dynamic?
I mean, you have to listen to people. And it's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
I keep getting called like the leader. I mean, I definitely helped start everything.
You've got the big mixer. You're the leader.
If I was taking control of everything, it wouldn't be as good of a podcast as it is, having it's a really a good, three-way tie between us, and gives it a little bit of different flavor, and it changes things up. So,
well, a leader's only as good as his team, but you're still the fucking leader.
I mean, yeah. And you do a great job of sharing not just the show, but sharing the responsibilities, because I know that Lexi edits. She helps out with that. So you're not alone. At least you have the help. So, but at the same time, this was your show. You had started this. Everyone came in to join you and make it better. And obviously it has grown. It's gotten better. It's amazing to listen to. It's fun.
Lexi mixing, I'm like, for the love of God, you're hired.
I love that. What about you, Chuck? Any advice you'd like to throw out there?
Kind of similar. Just keep going. It's one of those you only get better when you keep doing it. I feel like we were really rusty after during the pandemic, and before that we were doing everything in person. Like Justin was saying, we were going down, meeting at his house or our other friend James's house to record. And then when the pandemic happened and it wasn't necessarily safe to travel, before we figured out the whole Zoom type setup, we just stopped doing it for about 6 months, I think. And I felt like we were really rusty when we started back up, and also just getting the hang of the new technology that we weren't used to recording on was also definitely threw us for a curve. So it's just one of those, it's the same as anything else. You just got to keep doing it. Eventually you almost have to get better at it in some form. It's, I think it's hard to get worse at something if you just keep trying over and over again.
Truer words. What about you, Lexi? Any new advice since you've been working with these guys for the last year?
Never force yourself to work in an uncomfortable dynamic. As you can see with Justin's story about how he went through building this show, he's had some uncomfortable dynamics in his creations before he finally got to finding someone he was comfortable with, before Chuck finally fit in comfortably with him. And like with me, finding people that I felt comfortable with, like when I was done with my show, I had been on guest on this show a bunch of times before I chose to come over and work with him. Same with having him as a guest, Justin, a guest on my show. So knowing comfortably how the dynamic between us was working, I was like, I feel that this would work well in the future as well. If you're working with a dynamic of people and it feels uncomfortable, or you're pushing something, don't keep pushing it. Don't try to work with people that are making you uncomfortable, or that you can see that you're not meshing. Like, don't be working with your friends. Like, I mean, it's nice to work with your friends. You don't have to be friends with people, though. Like, you can tell when things are working well and when they're working not. Like me and Jacob, when we started working together and he brought his friend on, it wasn't working well, but me and him were working well. So we eliminated that dynamic, and then we had a really good dynamic. And we still have a good dynamic to this day, and now we still work together on other things.
Yep. Find reasons to bring each other on our own different shows.
But once you find those dynamics of people that you can work with, you'll be able to work with them on anything too. So I'll work with them on stuff outside of this podcast. Like, Justin is someone I will work with on anything. Chuck is someone I will work with on anything. Like, now I have people I'm comfortable with a working dynamic with, as well as a friend dynamic. Like, I'm glad we're friends as well. It's nice that we're friends, but it's really good to build comfortable working dynamics as well. And those are really important to build working relationships outside of work, like an actual job, like being able to have those comfortable working dynamics in the world. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, yeah.
You can call someone up and be like, hey, will you work with me on this? And be like, yeah, I'll work with you on this. Because, like, having a reliable work-friend relationship like that is so, so important that you can rely on them. Because, like, Jacob is, like, one of the most reliable people for me. Like, I'll bend over backwards for him, but he also bends over backwards for me. Like, he is, like, one of the most reliable work people I know, and I believe Justin is the same way. And I believe, like, this podcast is the same way. So that's why I chose to go work with it.
No, I think that's great advice. I mean, knowing a good dynamic, you know, when you're starting out, especially if you're trying to collaborate with someone, whether it's to do a podcast, you know, to write, to make a movie or work on music together, make sure that dynamic is strong. And like Lexi said, it doesn't have to be your friend. It could be someone that you don't really get along with personally, but when you're creative together, you can actually get it done and it works. That's a good dynamic. It's something to be mindful of, is make sure you know your dynamic. And like Justin said and Lexi said, if it's not meshing, if you're not having a good dynamic, you got to be strong enough to put your foot down and be like, hey, we got to go a different route. I got to do something different. And that's okay. It's a part of growing. It's a part of being creative and learning what works. So that's excellent advice, Lexi. Thank you. All right. That's the end of everything. That's all my questions for you guys. So I just want to, put you guys out there one more time. Where can we find Cinema d'Amore? How can we listen to this fun show and what you guys talk about?
You're not going to do it, Justin? Come on. You're the leader.
Oh, God.
We are Cinema d'Amore.
We are Cinema d'Amore. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with news and information on upcoming episodes. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, Pandora, Alexa, or iHeartRadio.
Links are in the show notes. I love it.
This is IPA Sessions. Thank you for listening.
Woo! That's great. We're gonna keep that plug. I'm gonna edit that and make my own commercials. I'm gonna make commercials for you guys just for free, just to play during my podcast. I really appreciate having you guys come on again. This conversation was a little different today. The topic was a little different. This is really more of a team dynamic conversation that I wanted to have. I wanted to try something new for the show and for others out there listening to the show. I bring on these independent artists, and I've had bands on, and I've had certain filmmakers together, but I haven't had a group of podcasters. So I'm really glad that you guys came in to just share your experience, especially because this is still kind of new. You guys are a year strong together, and you have your histories with one another. You have your previous experiences. So I really appreciate you just coming on and having this conversation with me today and kind of sharing with everyone what to expect, the things to anticipate when you're in a team dynamic, establishing who is the leader, who is, backup, and how supportive each role is. Just because you're the lead doesn't mean you're more important than the backbone, the support system, so to speak. God damn it, I did it again. Keep saying so to speak. But yeah, I really do appreciate y'all coming on today. So thank you very much for that. And it's been fun just talking with you.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
You're a great host.
I have my moments.
Hey, you should do this for a living.
He learned from the best.
Yeah, I did. Editing makes me look good. And I did. I took some notes from Lexi. Just go off the cuff sometimes. I have my notes, I have my questions, but everything else is off the cuff. Make it organic. It works. That's my process. Everyone's different.
I've never used a note in my life.
And I just want to throw this out there. Spaghetti Western theme. I will come on. I will host the entire month, and I'll pick all the movies for you. You don't have to do any work. Just give me a microphone, let me talk, and you got a free month off of work. Is Justin thinking about it, or is he muted?
Oh, we lost Chuck.
That's okay. He made it to the end.
He did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we
He
already
wasn't
talked
kidding. It happens. It happens.
It happens all the time.
We already talked about Kioma, so there's no spaghetti western as good as that movie.
You can go fuck yourself. That's like the weakest Django movie there is. There's a lot to say.
Kioma?
Kioma.
Kioma's wonderful.
It is wonderful, but it's the weakest of the Django movies. That's right.
It's not a Django movie.
Yes, it is.
No.
It is. But see, that's what's great. We can get into this topic. So, Spaghetti Western Month theme, I'm there for it. Just let me know. I just invited myself on again. That's what I'm going to do. That's where this is going. You know, the listeners out there, be looking forward to Cinema d'Amore when they do Spaghetti Western Month. Guesting your host, K. Jacob from IPA. It's going to be wonderful.
And then we'll talk about drinking beer on IPA session.
Well, once again, thank you. Is Chuck coming back? Is Chuck coming back? Oh, man.
Just says white boy Chuck.
It's great. Well, I just wanted to, give you guys a chance to say anything else that you would like to say before I end the show. And hopefully Chuck comes back on to say his piece.
His trying.
No, thanks for having us. And you're welcome on the podcast, whether it's spaghetti westerns or not.
I heard you. Spaghetti Western.
I mean, realistically, if you see anything interesting that we're doing, we'll throw you on. We're not.
I mean, don't worry. When we cover Solaris, we'll be having you back on.
I'm good.
I had a friend that was like, Justin, you did Hitchcock month? I love Hitchcock. Why didn't you have me on? I'm like, I don't know. I'm terrible host, I guess.
I don't know. Lexi, you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think we covered everything pretty well.
While Chuck's not here, you can say how you really feel now.
Right?
Yeah. He'll only hear this when he listens to it.
So did you pick him because he had the chops? Did he have the chops when you hired him at the video store for the Western?
I don't know. I didn't know what I was getting into.
But did he have the sideburns? Like the big chops?
He had the sideburns.
And the mustache? Like, is that why you picked him?
No, not necessarily. I was looking for somebody that was a little bit different. And it's like
definitely that.
I'll share you the link. It's really funny. He was wearing, when he showed up, I'm like, okay, it's a post-sex scene, so you have to be in your boxers. And he had on like SpongeBob SquarePants boxers. And I'm like, that's not going to work, Chuck. And my one buddy was like, I got underwear in my car. So he ended up wearing this kid's underwear, which I don't even question why that was just in his car loose. But,
This is a fantastic way to end the episode. I love this.
Great.
Chuck, thank you so much for being here. You're welcome, guys. I love it. Thank you so much, Chuck. I can't wait to come back on the show to hang out with you. Yeah, no problem. Anytime. It's awesome. I love it. Poor Chuck. I wish he could have said bye.
Yeah, he never says bye anyway, so
then it's appropriate. It's authentic.
I'll send you the audio clip of him saying goodbye. You can just add it.
I will do that. I will do that. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I hope you had a great time listening in and, just having this discussion with Lexi and Justin and Chuck of Cinema d'Amore. Check them out. They're amazing. It's a great podcast. If you love movies, go listen to it. Oh, he's back. Hello, Chuck.
He's not back.
Oh, no. Are you connected, Chuck?
So worried
Sounds
about
like a robot.
It's okay. Justin, send me that edit. I'll use it.
It's all good.
Until the next time, everyone, stay golden.
All right, that was our episode. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Please be sure to rate and review and click that subscribe button for new bi-weekly episodes. As always, the theme music is provided by the Ericka page. Follow us on social media at IPA Sessions Podcast. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now we have a TikTok and YouTube. All information and links are in the show notes. So show some love and support for these amazing indie artists. And if you'd like to come on and share your journey as an independent artist, reach out to me via email at ipasessionspodcast@gmail.com. Till next time, I hope you found some inspirations for practical application and entertainment.